our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, "My help is always with you to help you in your progress and your work. The difficulties you cannot overcome today will be overcome tomorrow or later on. With my love and blessing," says our Divine Mother. Words of our Divine Mother from the Collective Works of our Divine Mother, Volume 15, date November 12, 1952, topic The Steps of the Soul, page 355. Our Divine Mother says, the human individual is a very complex being. He is composed of innumerable elements, each one of which is an independent entity and has almost a personality. Not only so, the most contradictory elements are housed together. If there is particular quality or a capacity present, the very opposite of it, annulling it as it were, will also be found along with it and embracing it. I have seen a man brave, courageous, heroic to the extreme, flinching from no danger, facing unperturbed the utmost peril, truly the bravest of the brave, and yet I have seen the same man cowering in abject terror like the past of poltroons in the presence of certain circumstances. I have seen a most generous man giving things away largely, freely, not counting any expenditure or sacrifice, without the least care or reservation. The same person I have also found to be the vilest of misers with respect to certain other considerations. A Divine Mother says again, I have seen the most intelligent person with a clear mind, full of light and understanding, easily comprehending the logic and implication of a topic, and yet I have seen him betraying the utmost stupidity of which even an ordinary man without education or intelligence would be incapable of. These are not theoretical examples. I have come across such persons actually in life. Our Divine Mother says the complexity arises not only in extension but also in depth. Man does not live on a single plane but on many planes at the same time. There is a scale of gradation in human consciousness. The higher ones rise in the scale, the greater the number of elements or personalities that one possesses. Whether one lives mostly or mainly on the physical or vital or mental plane or any particular section of these planes or on the plane above and beyond them, there will be accordingly differences in the constitution or psycho-physical makeup of the individual personality. A Divine Mother says the higher one stands, the richer the personality, because it lives not only in its own normal level, but also on all the levels that are below it and which it has transcended. The complete or integral man, some occulusts say, possesses 365 personalities. Indeed, it may be much more. The Vedas speak of the 3 and 33 and 3300 and 33,000 gods that may be housed in the human vehicle, the basic three being evidently the triple status or world of body, life and mind. A Divine Mother says, what is the meaning of this self-contradiction, this division in man? to understand that we must know and remember that each person represents a certain quality or capacity, a particular achievement to be embodied. How best can it be done? And what is the way by which one can acquire a quality of its purest and highest and most perfect? A Divine Mother says it is by setting an opposition to it. That is how a power is increased and strengthened, by fighting against and overcoming all that weakness and contradicts it. The deficiencies with respect to a particular quality show you where you have to mend and reinforce it and in what way to improve it in order to make it perfectly perfect. It is the hammer that beats the weak and soft iron to transform it into hard steel. The preliminary discord is useful and needs to be utilized for a higher harmony. This is the secret of self conflict in man. You are weakest precisely in that element which is destined to be your greatest asset. Each man, says our Divine Mother, each man has then a mission to fulfill, a role to play in the universe, a part that he has been given to learn and take up in the cosmic purpose, a part which he alone is capable of executing, and another. This he has to learn and acquire through life experiences, that is to say, not in one life, but in life after life. In fact, that is the meaning of the chain of lives that the individual has to pass through, namely to acquire experiences and to gather from them the thread, the skein of qualities and attributes, powers and capacities for the pattern of life he has to weave. Now, the inmost being, the true personality, the central consciousness of the evolving individual is a psychic being. It is, as it were, a very tiny part of light lying in normal people far behind the life experiences. In grown up souls, this psychic consciousness has an increased light, increased in intensity, volume, and richness. Thus, there are old souls and new souls. Old and ancient are those that have reached or about to reach the fullness of perfection. They have passed through a long history of innumerable lives and developed the most complex and yet the most integrated personality. Our Divine Mother says new souls are those that has just emerged or are now emerging out of the mere physical, vital existence. They are like simple organisms made of fewer constituents related mostly to the bodily life with just a modicum of the mental. It is the soul, however, that grows with experiences, and it is the soul that builds and enriches the personality. Whatever portion of the outer life, whatever element in the mind or vital or body succeeds in coming in contact with the psychic consciousness, that is to say, is able to come under its influence, is taken up and launched there. It remains in the psychic being as its living memory and permanent possession. It is such elements that form the basis, the groundwork upon which the structure of the integral and true personality is raised. Our Divine Mother says the first thing to do then is to find out what it is that you are meant to realize, what is the role you have to play, your particular mission, and the capacity and quality you have to express. You have to discover that, and also the thing or things that oppose and do not allow it to flower or come to full manifestation. In other words, you have to know yourself, recognize your soul or psychic being. For that, you must be absolutely sincere and impartial. You must observe yourself as if you were observing and criticizing a third person. You must not start with an idea that this is your life's mission, this is your particular capacity, this you are to do, that you are to do, in this lies your talent or genius, etc.
Reste ne cesse pas de tendre vers la perfection.
Our Divine Mother says that will carry you away from the right track. It is not the liking or disliking of your external being, your mental or vital or physical choice that determines the true line of your growth. Nor should you take up the opposite attitude and say, I'm good for nothing in this matter, I'm useless in that one, it is not for me. Neither vanity and arrogance, nor self depreciation and false modesty should move you. As I said, you must be absolutely impartial and unconcerned. You should be like a mirror that reflects the truth and does not judge. Our Divine Mother says if you are able to keep such an attitude, if you have this repose and quiet trust in your being and wait for what may be revealed to you, then something like this happens. You are, as it were, in a wood, dark and noiseless. You see in front of you merely a sheet of water, dark and still, hardly visible, a bit of pond embedded in the obscurity, and slowly upon it a moonbeam is cast, and in the cool, dim light emerges the calm, liquid surface. That is how your secret truth of being will appear and present itself to you at your first contact with it. There you will see gradually reflected the true qualities of your being, the traits of your divine personality, what you really are, and what you're meant to be. A Divine Mother says, one who has thus known himself and possessed himself, conquering all opposition within himself, has by that very fact extended himself and his conquests, making it easier for others to make the same or a similar conquest. These are the pioneers or the elite who, by a victorious campaign within themselves, help others towards their victory, says our Divine Mother. Next topic, Memory of Past Lives, page 361. Our Divine Mother says if one were to say things truly, one would have to say everything in full detail. For among the innumerable experiences that I have had in the course of 8 years, many were of such a variety and apparently so contradictory that one might say, after all, everything is possible. So then, if I tell you something about past lives without presenting the thread running through everything, that would be opening the door to dogmatism. You will say one day, Mother has said this, Mother has said that, and that is how dogmas, alas, are made. Given then the multitude of experiences,
Permets que nous n'obéissions qu'à toi et que nous vivions selon
Our Divine Mother says, given then the multitude of experiences and the impossibility that I should pass my life in talking and writing, you must tell yourself that everything is possible and not be dogmatic. I may, however, give you a few general indications. Only when one is consciously identified with one's divine origin, one can in truth speak of a memory of past lives. Sri Aurobindo speaks of the progressive manifestation of the Spirit in the forms in which it dwells. When one reaches the summit of this manifestation, one has a vision that plunges down upon the way traversed and one remembers. But this memory is not a thing of the mental kind. Those who claim to have been such a baron of Middle Ages or such a person who lived at such a place and such a time are fanciful. They are simply victims of their own mental imagination. In fact, what remains of past lives are not beautiful pictures in which you appear as a mighty lord in a castle or a victorious general at the head of an army. That is only romance. What remains is the memory of those instants when the psychic being emerged from the depths of your being and revealed itself to you. That is to say, the memory of those instants when you were wholly conscious. That growth of consciousness is progressively effectuated in the course of evolution, and the memory of past lives is generally limited to the critical moments of the evolution, to the decisive turns that marked the progress of your consciousness. A Divine Mother says, at the time when you live such moments of your life, you do not care at all about remembering that you were Mr. X, such a person, living at such a place and in such an epoch. It is not the memory of your civic status that remains. On the contrary, you lose all consciousness of these petty external things, accessories and perishables, so that you may be wholly in the flare of the soul revelation or of the divine contact. When you remember such instants of your past lives, the memory is so intense that it seems to be still very close, still living and much more living than most of the ordinary memories of your present life. A Divine Mother says, at times in dreams when you come in contact with certain planes of consciousness, you may have memories of such intensity, such vibrant colors, so to say, even more intense than the colors and things of the physical world. For these are the moments of the true consciousness, and everything then puts on an extraordinary brilliance. Everything is vibrant, everything is imbued with a quality that escapes the ordinary eye. These minutes of contact with the soul are often those that mark a decisive turn of your life, a forward step, a progress in consciousness, and that frequently corresponds with a crisis, an extremely intense situation when there comes a call in the whole being, a call so strong that the inner consciousness pierces the layers of the unconsciousness covering it and is revealed all luminous on the surface. Our Divine Mother says this call of the being, when very strong, can also bring about the descent of a divine emanation, an individuality, a divine aspect, which joins with your individuality at a great given moment in order to do a given work, win a battle, express one thing or another. The work done, the emanation very often withdraws. Then one may retain the memory of the circumstances that were around these minutes of revelation or inspiration. One sees again the scenery and the color of the dress that one had put on, the color of one's own skin, the things that about you at that time, all that is fixed indelibly with an extraordinary intensity, because the things of the ordinary life reveal themselves then in their true intensity and in true color. The consciousness that reveals itself in you reveals at the same time the consciousness that is in things. At times, with the help of these details, you may reconstitute the age in which you lived or the action that you did. Find out the country where you were, but it is very easy to make a romance and take imagination for reality. Yet, you must not believe that all memories of past lives are those of moments of great crisis, of great important mission or a revelation. Sometimes they are moments very simple, transparent, when an integral, a perfect harmony of the being was expressed, and that may have corresponding effects to altogether insignificant external situations. Our Divine Mother says, apart from the things that were in your immediate surrounding at that moment, apart from that moment of contact with your psychic being, nothing remains. Once the privileged moment passes, the psychic being plunges into an inner somnolence, and the whole outer life melts into a grey monotony which does not leave any trace. Besides, it is almost the same phenomena as what happens in the course of life that you lead at present. Apart from those exceptional moments when you are at the summit of your being, mental, vital, or even physical, the rest of your life seems to melt into a kind of neutral color which has no great interest when it matters little whether you were at such a place instead of being at another, whether you did this or that. If you try to look at your life all at once, in order to gather, as it were, its essence, the 20 or 30 or 40 years behind you, you will see rise up spontaneously two or three images which were the true moments of your life. The rest is effaced. A kind of spontaneous choice works in your consciousness, and there is a tremendous elimination. This will give you a little idea of what happens in regard to past lives. The choice of a few selective moments and an immense elimination. Our Divine Mother says, it is very true that the earliest lives are very rudimentary. Very few things success out of all of that. Scattered memories, few and far between. But the more one progresses in consciousness, the more the psychic being is consciously associated with the outer activities. The memories grow in number and become more coherent and precise. But still, here also, the memory that remains is that of the contact with the soul, and at times that of things which were associated with the psychic revelation, not the civic status or the changing of scenes around. And this will explain to you why the so called memories of the past animal lives are the most fantastic. The divine spark in them is buried too much deep down to be able to come up consciously to the surface and be associated with the outer life. One must become a wholly conscious being, conscious in all its parts, totally united with one's divine origin before one can truly say that one remembers his past lives, says our Divine Mother.
विश्वतिं यौवमतिथिं नरः सदायन्ता